No, we're cool. We're good.
Yeah.
I don't know if it will.
Oh, we know that he's on his way, so.
Yeah, we know he's
we're-
on his way. Yep. Again, we apologize. We had one member that was not told.
He
about
wasn't
the meeting.
informed. Sorry, folks.
Yeah. I've
It
talked
was a
to
mix
him
up
and-
with an email and then text sent out, so.
Well, and we wondered because it's a holiday, so we wondered.
Right.
The meeting.
Normally, that's not a difference for the meeting for us, but there is times that it is.
Come along on that building there.
Downtown?
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Oh, the new one?
Yeah.
Have they? I haven't been out that way.
Yeah. They about got it enclosed in, and
Yep.
it's only
Nice.
another day or two,
Nice.
and they will. So,
Yeah, I wonder if they'll be able to hire him.
yeah.
I can't seem to get people done.
Thanks.
Really.
I saw I drove through Perry, and the grocery store over there is now only open 10 to 6 because they can't come in, but they can get it. So,
Well, every place you go to has got a hiring sign.
Oh, like when you can make $16.50 an hour on unemployment, why would you want to go back to work?
right.
It's just the dumbest thing to keep extending that. Kind of bothers me a little bit. I'm not even going on.
Don't believe it. I get it though.
Interview somebody with that functionality?
I am. All right, we're gonna give another couple minutes and we'll go ahead and get started. 7:05.
So. It needs some new batteries.
It does. Yeah.
I was gonna say, you turn that, that's supposed to be a lot brighter than that, even on one click.
Yeah, they go down the back stairs and don't have lights. And it gives me enough light to
Right,
get the leash on the dogs.
there you go.
So that's all I really care about.
Independent, someplace where you can read it. Someplace where you get it.
There he is. We found out what happened. Yeah.
Totally wasn't your fault.
Totally
You've got a
wasn't.
whole packet right here.
Oh, right here. Thank you, guys.
Yep.
My
Thanks for coming
apologies,
up.
everyone. Thank you.
They understand.
All right, so
Thanks,
it's
We did wait because there was stuff we wanted everyone here.
7:04. I'm gonna call the meeting to order. So. Okay. I'm confused. We have public comment and then we have review and public comment. Okay, do we have a motion to open public comment? This is not necessarily on the river, and it's just in general. We'll have a time later where we can talk about the park and recreation plan.
I interrupted. We should approve the minutes of last meeting.
No, I think-
Oh, we're good?
Well, they
Yeah,
actually,
Pub-
this is
public
what
comment.
he's right here.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm not sure.
So we have a
Yeah,
motion to open public comment.
I'll make a motion to open the public.
Okay,
comment.
public comment is now open. Anybody, anything?
Yeah, our property is adjacent to the Langsberg proposed water site. And the first thing I want to say is in the council meeting, it was mentioned that I was okay with this. Because I wrote a letter in August asking that the city council work with us and have a dialogue.
Right.
We never had a dialogue. I never heard back from the city council at all. I spoke to Paula once after I sent her a copy of the letter, and that was still back in August. So now this is 5 months later, and the next thing I see is a proposed plan where I get to see an outhouse from my kitchen window. So it's a little disturbing. that in the city council meeting, it was stated that I was fine with this, and I want to make sure everybody knows I'm not fine.
I'm glad you said that, because yeah, I was just told that you were, so, this, I haven't talked to you, so.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you're here right
Nobody
now.
did, and
Yeah,
that's what I asked for in my letter, was that I hear back and that we open a dialogue with the people in the area and instead of getting to a point where now we say, well, I don't want that, I don't want that, it would have been a lot nicer if, as we were going along together.
well, still nothing is 100%, and but still, yeah, I understand.
There's still gonna be a porta potty there outside my kitchen window, and I don't think anyone.
Not
would like it.
necessarily, nothing is
Let's let her
100%
finish and then we'll
planned,
come to
but
you.
yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, the whole site is
Mhm.
outside
Yeah.
my kitchen window,
Right.
so, when we bought that property, we were told it would never be developed. In fact, we leased it for 10 years, so that we would keep it updated and mowed and keep people off of it. And we were told that we couldn't buy it because couldn't be developed, because it was toxic, because it had been a dump site. And no one knew exactly what was in there, because people dumped everything in the 60s and 70s. No, we didn't know, nobody knew. So we told it could never be developed. And now we're gonna invite families to come there with children at a site where it was too toxic for anybody to buy it. It seems odd. And I've seen the report from the DNR, I know the boreholes and so forth, but that's, that doesn't take into consideration everything that's in that site. And there is arsenic and lead and selenium and mercury.
So those tests have been done?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I've seen them. Have all of you guys seen them?
I have not seen
I have not
anything.
seen anything.
They're available through the DNR, the environmental section of the DNR. And it is high, the groundwater is also very high, it says, in lead. That concerns me because of our wells.
Right.
Now, you start disturbing that soil,
Oh, yeah.
and and if it gets in the river, then you have the EPA looking at Langsberg and saying, what are you doing to the river? It just for a 1.6 acre site to maybe reduce people's property values. Worse than that, to maybe expose residents to something hazardous. It just doesn't make sense to me.
So let me go over something real quick, just so everybody knows, right? We, as the planning commission tonight, just so you don't walk away and go, what the heck they do? We don't have anything on our docket to make a decision. We don't have a plan in front of us to approve or not approve. Okay, just again, just so you know, it's hearing what you guys have to say
Yeah.
and the public hearing, and that's what tonight is all about.
So
To
this
hear
this
you and-
committee
yeah.
is the
Yeah.
one that decides. though,
Well, we'll be
ultimately?
part of it. So what we do is,
Ultimately, it's the council,
It's-
but yeah.
yeah, so
There's-
what we do is we get the plan, there'll be a plan put together. It will come in front of us. We will ask questions. We will
Okay.
okay it, right? We will then make a recommendation that goes to city council. Okay, and then city council will be the ones that will make the final decision.
And all the plans that are given to us, we gotta make sure they're legal with the city bylaws and
And
everything
safe,
else.
Right.
and so.
And then go from there, but we don't, till we see everything on paper, we don't make a decision.
Yeah.
Right. right.
So you guys are in a
Yeah.
good spot.
Yeah,
And a
yeah,
lot of,
this is
a
a
lot
good
of
time.
times when those plans come out too, then it goes to another public hearing, like we're doing here, but also with the council. Okay, so this is our first steps. This is your first
Right,
steps of
right, right.
doing what you're doing right now.
So the one
Okay.
on the February 7th, is that the one that decides what this is gonna be, or?
It doesn't
No, no,
decide it.
no,
No.
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 All right, so hang on.
Yep.
So what we have right now is they put together preliminary plans. What the council, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dina, what the council approved the other night was to move forward with pricing of what it would cost. Is it gonna be $10 million? Is it gonna be $200?
Just to
Right?
even.
Just
look at it.
to figure out if it makes sense to do, right?
In other words, this is just a preliminary.
It's
Correct.
just a preliminary, right?
Preliminary
So-
start of all of this.
So this is
Really,
now
is what
public
this is.
There's no
comment.
decision made.
Yeah.
Yep, and then they'll come back,
Yep.
they'll have a packet with a bunch of questions and a bunch of answers, right, that we will then go through and we'll go through the process, so.
So it's a
Okay.
perfect time for you guys to be here to
Yes.
start, so we can see all of this.
He's waited patiently.
I was told by the DPW head there was not a damn thing we could do about it.
Okay,
And we live there.
Well, I think whoever you spoke to is misspoken because.
Well, I believe he opened a
I
can of
would say,
worms up.
I agree with you. They gotta come to us first for this thing to
I
start.
mean,
Right.
they've done absolutely nothing with that property for, I've been there over 43 years. And one time has the city ever done anything with that property? One time. And now all of a sudden, we're gonna have this glorious kayak park, and I heard a parking lot. Well, who's gonna police this? Who's gonna be out there keeping people from camping and raising hell after dark? They can't keep the guy from sleeping in the parks down here.
Well, hopefully,
It's
that's what we-
ridiculous.
But hopefully that's what we can. do.
I'm writing notes for you.
yeah,
It's ridiculous. I mean, if I call the police from anywhere, especially Wausau, state police, it's 45 minutes to an hour to get out there. And when I'm sleeping at 1 o'clock in the morning and they're squealing tires and raising pain,
Right.
I'm really gonna love that. It's gonna make me wanna get a shotgun out, go ballistic on a few people.
You're on tape.
Well, it's still-
not really tape, but it's, yeah, close enough.
You know,
I'm on
it's
YouTube.
gotta have some monitoring if they're gonna do.
Yeah, no, I get it, I get your point, yeah.
I mean, they travel that road.
Mhm.
Everybody will agree here that lives,
So
they
that-
travel that road.
That is actually a question I have, is who's, I mean, it's outside of Langsberg
Yeah.
police
Yeah.
jurisdiction, right?
It's the
So is it gonna be Shiawassee County, are they gonna come down and? I mean,
They're all good things, yeah.
No.
And
you're gonna
they
end
got
up- you're
lots
gonna-
more property down farther that if it was worked with, I'm sure, because the guy that mows the cemetery goes back there and camps in the summer with his camper.
That's a nice spot back there. too. That'd be an excellent place to live in.
And it shouldn't bother too many, because there isn't too many.
where's
houses.
that at?
So, down
Go in by
behind the
lagoons, back in there somewhere.
Oh.
I've been all,
The lagoon area, yeah. That is-
Okay.
that would be. a
Oh, you should drive
good
back there.
spot.
It's great.
It is nice. I've been back there
Oh.
Do
too.
I need my big 4-wheel drive to get back there?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's inside of the.
No, you
city.
don't.
So one of the things I'm gonna recommend is, at least this planning committee does a field trip. I mean, we talk about where it is, we talk about you're living right next to it, you're right next, where are the houses in relation to where they go? I mean, you tell us, but we
I
don't
mean,
see
I
it.
know
yeah.
his.
Yeah.
I had a slight slant on that, and I was curious how many people on the planning committee or on the city council are actually kayakers, or who have ever kayaked down that section.
Oh, not
Oh,
on that
I'm-
section. I
No,
can't say that I have there.
Good, I mean, they cleared it out last year, and it's great, but I've lived there, and I know the other have lived there a lot longer, 50 years. They've never come through and cleaned that out before. For at the moment, it's kind of clear. But last fall, I went down it already and I started seeing, oh, look, there's some drift starting to flood this area. And so my idea is, well, great, you build the thing, but then you're not gonna have a passable river. They're not gonna come through there every
They
5
won't do it
years
every
on
year.
that tiny little branch. we have.
Right, right.
So that's,
Then
part of it.
it's, then
Yeah.
what's important.
it's not deep enough,
So-
and there's no. curb.
Right, then there's just a vacant parking lot across our back.
Yeah.
So, did you wanna, I mean, you raised your hand
I
earlier.
did, I'm just not clear.
Sorry, I didn't mean to
Oh.
wait so long to get back with you. So go
No,
ahead.
go I'm Diane Eisinger.
Okay,
I live across the street from where this was proposed and, but I'm not clear, because when I was reading online on the February 7th, it said, we'll decide to start going and get grant applications in. They're gonna give the go-ahead for grant applications, and I don't see how you can do, I work in grants all day long.
right.
I don't see how, why you would move forward with that. There's so many like open issues. It seems like it's pretty fast here.
Okay,
I think some do want to jump in and go fast, but I think there's also a lot of things to look at, and that's why we're all here right now. So I think this is a good place to start.
Somebody.
We all have
pull on the
questions.
reins a little
Yeah,
bit.
we
Yeah.
have no idea.
So we'd like to know about the policing, who's gonna police it
Yeah,
for our own security. I mean, none of us here are 30 years old. And so we don't wanna be out there with shotguns.
Well, we don't want you out there with shotguns anyways, because then you'd be taken to jail anyway. So that's not what we want.
The other thing
They don't
is,
listen to you
At the,
anyway.
at the
Exactly.
city council meeting, they talked about putting up a barrier, a natural barrier between our property and.
Yeah,
your
because I was
property.
concerned how close it was to your guys'
You
property,
can't dig in the soil. there.
Oh. because it's toxic.
I know they,
Some things
they
I don't
said
know.
a number of times they want, whatever plan is come up with will be a minimum disruption of soil for that reason. Now,
Yeah.
what does that really mean? I don't know, but
It
that's what
means
they.
it's toxic.
Oh, no, I get it. I get it.
But-
Yeah.
but
But when they say a minimum disruption, what's, I mean,
But shouldn't that be
I
the
know,
end of
I
the
get it.
discussion?
Mhm.
It's toxic. And
Okay,
you're gonna
but
invite
here's the other thing.
families.
And I get what you're saying about it being toxic, but it's the same type of situation that they've also got at the golf course that they play golf on every day. That's the same thing going on out there, that you've got plenty of public
Okay,
all year long. And
They can
that
do
water
that if they
flooding,
want to.
and that water flooding out there all year long,
they can do
Okay.
that if they want to.
you know.
That doesn't go in my well.
I understand that, ma'am, but you've also got all these other areas that they're talking about, the PFSA or PFAs and things like that, that are in these other little towns, that it can happen anyway. We're not stating that we want it to happen. We don't want it to happen, because then it could come back. We are worried about that also, and
Oh,
that's why
okay.
we're talking
So we're
about
not on
this.
opposite
No,
sides.
no.
Oh, no.
That's why all this discussion is going on. We're not trying to cause any fights or anything like that. We have to get the information also
I want, yeah, I want
We
to
wanna-
to.
proceed
we wanna learn
forward
all we
at
can
all.
Before we make a decision.
Why wasn't this all discussed before, when they started planning it?
They've been talking about trying to possibly plan something for that site for years now,
Right.
but they've never really come up with anything. This is just rough drafts of the whole thing. So if they can come up with a plan, okay, that's why they were talking about the grants, ma'am. They want to get the grants put in because they want if we can get the funding, that's when other things are going to start rolling, when they actually do start making a full plan. Because you can go and apply for a grant without having any type of a drawing or anything like that. As long as you state in there, you would like to submit something for that location to possibly be used. They're also looking at bringing in more soil, you know, stuff like that, how it would be safe is also the other things that they're still looking at. It's all the process. And that's why we're starting with this like we are tonight. And I thank you all, honestly, for,
Yeah.
yeah.
we're
yeah, no,
thanking
no,
you
this is-
all.
This is good. This is.
This is
we're-
wonderful.
wonderful. Yes,
We
thank you
wish
all-
we had
thank
this
you all
more
for
often.
yes, yes.
So are there,
Oh.
I'm sorry, I
So,
can't
no.
see you. I'll shut
Yeah,
up.
go ahead.
Jody Frank, former member of LARC. I resigned in the city council meeting in December. When we talk about they, I wonder who they are. You know, LARC, Langsberg Area Recreation Committee, has been working with the city for, back in the 60s. We revitalized it when we were going to work on Clintock Park. The first I heard about it as being basically the chair of the Park and Rec when I came to the city council meeting in November. If this neighbor said she sent a letter in August, LARC committee had never had any knowledge. Yes, it was part of our 5-year plan that some, you know, people wanted that. That was something that in the surveys that was, you know, requested. So it was in that 5-year plan, you know, that we keep updating. But LARC had never, we did not have any communication from the city to that, hey, we're ready to move forward. Someone has some interest to move forward on it. We had nothing. So that's one reason in December that I resigned. There's no, who are they? You know, I know, I don't know,
Yeah,
but that's what I'm saying.
fair question.
Who are they that are coming up with this stuff and not, you know, for 20 years, we had a good committee, we put together Tech Park. But
Absolutely.
you have to have the people of the community, or in this situation, I don't live there, it's not gonna affect me at all, but it's gonna affect them. So if we wanna be good neighbors, good community, you have to take this in and not bombard them with, here's 2 plans, and all of a sudden, they have to come up and
Well,
your.
so I'm gonna agree 100, and I'm going same way you're going, Jody, a little bit. Different. I agree. They're the ones that are gonna be living next to it, should be involved in,
Yes.
to some degree of planning. Now, you may not get everything you want, but you need to be involved in the planning and what's gonna happen and those type of things, right? Does that make sense? I hope I didn't come too far. I mean, but you need to voice your opinion, and if there are things that makes the DNR test, that concerns me. First, we heard about it. Right, so.
Well, and that's exactly why I wrote that letter in August, was let's have a dialogue. Never heard back.
Right.
And
See, and as counsel, I thought there
you
was.
want to talk?
Yeah, I do. I have a list of demands. I have a manifesto. No, I'd like these in consideration for the grant. So a security gate.
Yep.
That you could, it could be solar, because I don't think you're gonna have electricity out there. Maybe a number to call that people can call and get a code to punch in. Wouldn't have to be changed very often, kayakers are gonna kayak.
Yep.
The other thing I'd like is a camera. It could be a shot camera or a video camera that could be accessed by the web. My concern is tires and mattresses. We're famous for them in this area.
Really?
Yep.
So I'd like that lock and cameras on it, so if that happens, we know who did it. I would like an evergreen barrier between that and us, and probably some of the other neighbors. Some arborvitae's or something like that. What else I got? Oh, so that field is full of or it has sumac in it and milkweed. So the milkweed is monarch butterfly stuff. Sumac is not a lot of it around anymore, but it's used in a lot of teas and it's pretty.
It is.
So I would like signs out there, about the
Wildlife.
sumac, about this tree and the evergreen tree and the milkweed. A signage out there about rules, the number to call for the code, all that good stuff, and about digging. Don't
Right.
dig in this
Don't
area.
dig, don't let your children sit in the grass.
Don't chase the bald eagles off.
Yeah.
Oh,
We
geez.
We have nesting
bald eagles that are right in my yard. I have pictures of them.
Yeah.
And when it floods, that's where the kayakers, a lot of them will be in my backyard.
Oh, yeah, yours really
No, it's not
was.
them.
It's like.
I dealt with the fishing, people fishing, and
I can
It
believe that.
is.
I can believe that. Yep.
Are you on the north side of the river?
I'm where it floods, where the
South
dump has
Technically
filled in to
south
help it.
South
South
side.
side.
Okay.
Outside.
If you go past in the rain, it's
Yeah.
all.
Okay.
If you could have seen my property when I first moved out there, nobody would have fished in it. But ever since I cleaned it up, everybody wants to fish up, not the city property,
Right.
my
Right, no, I
property.
get that, yeah.
So I get trash.
Yeah.
I get people that don't ask,
Yeah,
and I'm responsible if they get hurt.
Yeah, they get hurt.
And that's why it's posted. And that's why I give people, if you want to go on my property and put a kayak in, fish, whatever, ask me first, please, or let me know. And I don't have a problem with it. Don't just walk.
I just had a thought, sorry.
no, go ahead.
We were talking about grants. They have grants for butterflies. I mean, you can have a whole butterfly meadow. You know what I
Sanctuary,
mean?
yeah,
Like,
like a sanctuary.
yeah, like a sanctuary
Nature
where
area.
people can't dig and they can't go out there and they have to protect the flowers and stuff like that. Just, if it goes here or there, those are other options to think about, I guess. But I have your list of demands and I have all your guys' notes.
Was there any other ones on that list?
Well, I
No.
don't
No?
know,
Okay.
actually demand it, but I don't want my property safety value negatively.
No, I
impacted
understand,
by this
yeah.
thing. And if people come through and they see a porta potty out the kitchen window, they say, well, that's lovely, it's a big one, isn't it? And so, just,
Yeah. I don't know what they have planned for the building. Do you
it would be
remember?
out their living room window, wouldn't it?
What were you gonna say?
Just one other thing was, I was just wondering, like, on an ongoing basis, what kind of a budget is gonna be set up in order to take care of maintenance, so. it
I
doesn't
think that would
decay,
be nothing that we even
vandalism,
know.
all that.
Yeah.
Well,
At
but-
this,
I
at
would
this
think-
point, we have nothing.
You don't know,
Well,
right, I just
but-
wanted
yeah.
to note it, you know.
But to his point,
Yes,
we need to know a
yes, we
budget
need to know.
before we move
Yeah,
ahead.
that was,
because if the
that
budget's
was
zero,
would be a standard
then-
question we
Yes,
would ask.
yes,
Right.
absolutely.
Somebody will have to
Yes.
dump trash cans or it's gonna be a dump.
Yes.
Right.
Right.
It may end up anyway, people may be pulling in there if there's no.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've already dumped trash bags on the river for many years.
Okay, anything else?
Just a bunch of-
I'll let you run this now.
They didn't know.
Do you want me to just?
No, I don't mean now, I mean.
Do you want me to read this letter though,
So I don't-
right now?
I don't- it's up to
I
you
read it
guys.
already.
Yeah.
I read it.
I'm good with it.
She did ask that I would read it.
Oh,
Okay,
Okay,
if you want to
that's
go
fine.
ahead.
That's
Okay.
fine.
I am going to read a letter from one of you,
Okay,
just so it's there and it's documented. Everybody has a copy. It's been filed. So I'll read it really quick. Langsberg Board. We have been residing at 7866 South Langsberg Road, Michigan for 50 years. For over 50 years. Built our own house, presided and paid all the taxes faithfully. We want to be on the record for opposing the building of a boat launch on the Looking Glass River directly across from our home. Concerns for traffic, people, and privacy will be excessive for my neighbors as well. I will totally respect their opinions and concern as well. Hoping that this will be filed as business. Anyway, yes. So there's that. Thank you for the planning commission. I just wanted you guys to all hear that I got this too, and it's filed in there, so along with my list of notes.
Yes.
We have a motion to close public hearing.
Was there?
Again, I asked, and nobody.
Okay, all right.
One more shot, anybody, anything else? Okay, all right, I thought I'd done that, but maybe I didn't, so, okay. Do I have a motion to close public hearing?
I'll motion to close public hearing.
Second.
Okay, so moved. Again, I want to thank everybody
Yes,
for, I mean, this is great.
this is what we need.
We want to hear
this is
more
why we
feedback.
offer this.
and-
Normally, nobody shows up.
Right,
Yes.
right.
So-
Yes, yeah.
So that's all in our decision, that we make a decision and then nobody hits us, everybody hits us.
As long as you don't show up with pitchforks and, you know.
Torches.
No torches and pitchforks, please.
That's right. yeah. All right, so,
Keep us informed on what's going on.
Well,
Seems like even you don't know certain things. that
Yeah.
You should know,
I should know.
yeah.
Well, I'm gonna make a little comment there about the, being notified of this. Is, we got the letter that looks like a standard Parks and Recs for Langsberg, right?
mhm.
I'm like, was this sent to me by mistake? Does this have anything to do with the boat law? I mean, I didn't know
Right,
for sure, because it wasn't real clear, like, okay, neighbors in your backyard, we're gonna talk about this, because
Right.
we don't normally, right? We're not city residents. so-
Right.
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 We got it in air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
I finally figured out, I circled it. I said, that's the hint. It says, dear neighbor. But the rest of it.
That's
is-
the letter you got?
Yeah.
Can I get a copy?
You can have it.
I can go.
Yeah. copies, yeah.
You can
I'm
make
sure
one
she
at
has.
all.
You didn't get it all.
Yeah, a lot
I
of
didn't
people
get
didn't get
mine.
it.
That's why.
Maybe.
But-
This was in the trash, so I.
Thank you.
Because like I said, I was a little upset,
Oh, yeah.
especially when I talked to the head of DPW, well, the same way
Okay.
we talked, Doug.
Okay, I'm gonna, all right, we're gonna move on with our meeting, so, okay, thank you.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, oh, you can stay, you're more than welcome to stay. But
We
just,
can't be rowdy.
can't be round.
Right.
That's right. Okay, so I have a motion to approve our minutes from the last meeting.
I have a motion to approve the meetings or minutes of the meeting last night.
Second.
Yeah, what you said.
Yeah, do we have to vote on this? I don't remember. Let's vote.
No,
No?
that's just a year and a
I
half.
think, yeah, that was it.
Okay, all in favor?
Okay.
Yeah, all opposed?
Right, we're still friends.
Okay, all right.
Thank you, Cassie.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Have a good night. Thank you.
too.
All right.
All right. So review the public comment of park and recreation plan update.
That was pretty big. I mean, obviously, it was just, we reviewed it, we looked it over.
I'll send that out. that way to Jeff.
Just,
Is it open to public comment?
For the review.
sure, yes.
Okay, so,
Sorry.
all right,
Okay.
Sorry, you
No,
Chair,
no,
go
it's-
for it.
These are confusing.
Yeah.
I mean,
It kind
I-
of
It
is.
is right now.
so,
page 36. Follow along.
Absolutely.
I didn't write up a whole thing like I normally do, so. there we go.
I don't have that here.
Yeah.
I have it in my computer.
There's one here. When it talks about, the city staff has taken the lead on administrating the plan update, I think they have. It talks about who they, at the open meetings, the Park and Recreation Committee, that had never come to the Park and Rec Committee. And then that people were notified by letter or email. I don't know that took place. The survey results. I seen the survey go out. I was a little bit confused with, when we did the Park and Rec update before, we had to, go out and survey the community, and that was before social media and all that, so we were door to door and doing that. But, so I love that. But I don't understand how we're wanting the responses of outside the community. Before, it was always just the taxpayers. So that confuses me a little bit, unless there's a grant that's saying.
that's gonna be a fine, I don't know what you wanna say. It's gonna be a ticklish point.
Right,
Right.
and, I think that when we just went through the marijuana part, it was very adamant that the city council did not want the opinions of people outside the community. So I'm concerned a little bit about that. Page 37,
So do we have, I mean,
I don't have,
Mine goes to 27.
yeah, mine goes, yeah.
Which one is that?
I got 45.
oh, that's the whole
Nice.
thing. Oh, okay. That's not what we're looking at right now. Sorry, no,
No, no, no,
you're
no.
fine, Jody.
so
You're,
this goes to 53.
you're good. Well, see, we've got part of the other stuff
Yeah.
that goes up to 50. We
46.
start at 46. That's why when you said 36 and I'm going, okay, wait a minute here.
Talking crazy.
She's got
No, I
wrong
was-
pages or
I was
something.
following you. I just
I mean, I
wasn't
was
able to
listening,
follow
you
you
know,
here.
Page 37, the question number 2, and this is just a secretarial thing. I don't like the look of that where it says softball field, dog park, better park, kids. As I'm reading it, as someone reading, it's like, that doesn't even make sense in my head, but that's just a pretty type thing.
Yeah, isn't that, weren't they throwing out ideas of things that they
Right,
wanted to?
Right, but
So,
I think instead of doing like bullet points of what people want, this is a new one. I
It
don't
should
know,
be
if
the
it's like
official page
a
turn.
Doodle or something, but it's something where it scrambles words.
Yeah.
Oh, the new things going in the park with the lion spot. Is that what you're talking
No,
about?
no. It
No.
has.
I'm getting there, sorry.
Yeah, I know. It
Oh,
just,
just-
words,
it's the
words
print.
pop out,
It's,
but it
it's
just
the way the
doesn't-
print,
Right.
with
Oh,
with what
okay.
you're talking about, the width.
Design
Hey,
of it.
I have a feeling that may be of what the person that actually did this may have just put those bullet points on there And it's not a final draft, I don't think. I don't know.
Yes, this
This
is
one
what you
is?
guys are gonna be approving.
Well, that we're gonna be talking about,
Yes.
yes, but it can be
Yeah.
redone
Right,
with
right, right.
this,
And
so.
that's why I'm bringing up, that
Yes.
doesn't, there's a new program and yes, it's cute on some things, but I think in this situation.
Yeah, yeah.
It doesn't,
I mean, if you're gonna do anything, okay, just kind of underline it.
right,
Don't bold it, just put an underline
Right.
underneath it,
or
then,
do a bullet.
yeah.
Then when we get to chapter 7, which is page 45. These are all objectives that a lot of them we have had, in the park plan. I know that it's just updated, but I don't know. And I didn't go back to the last park plan. I had one from the 90s. I don't know who put the objective, where that objective is at. On objective 3 on page 46. Establish a friend of the parks group to assist the city in maintaining, monitoring, keeping the appearance of parks and other recreational facilities. I thought that was what love was.
Yeah,
I don't understand.
when I read that, I sent the same thing in my head.
I think,
said-
why would you, if you can't get enough committee people to volunteer to be on one committee, why are you
Starting a new,
starting that? Or is that to kind of offset and say, and not that Lark ever had control, but we had a little bit of a voice to help maybe. So I don't understand that part. I don't agree with that part. And I think those were my highlights.
Okay. Do you have those? You guys?
Yeah, I have.
Now we've got.
Well, page 46, you should have in
Yeah.
your packet.
I do not
anyway.
have those.
you should have 46.
Look at page 5, and then right above 5 it says 45.
We have it in here, which is
Oh.
not here.
Gotcha, I'm looking wrong. 46, yep.
I would like to see in there, we've always had the, having a walkable community. And I know in one part here, it was having McClintock Park, connect to the Ed Beavers Trail down Shiawassee Street. But I'm thinking, and not that that would be an issue, but I'm thinking Woodbury Road just got finished. What a wonderful road. Why not have a sidewalk that is gonna connect Doyle all the way up to Grand River? You have a childcare center there. I don't see,
There's
That
one that
is-
says from Bait Scout to the high school.
Yes,
right,
Which
to
I-
school, yeah,
which they haven't done out Woodbury that way, but they've got it
Right.
out to the corner and
Oh, yeah.
up past Sage Market
Yeah.
now. They've discussed, I do know that they've discussed the Woodbury thing,
yes.
but trying to get, I think, issues with the right of ways and stuff like that. It's been in the air for a lot of years
Yes.
with that.
Yes.
And I mean, they even finally did, because of the fact of the subdivision and the other childcare, like you were talking about down Woodbury, they went south from Grand River to there, but not any further. And it's,
But I think just that,
there's,
that's not included in the objective. And I would think that,
getting that, what you're talking about, getting that,
Yeah.
getting
Yes.
that done, yes, yes.
or making that be, on paper, that should be an objective that we are.
No, I thought at one point that in the planning that was there. I know, it was
Years ago,
last,
I
yeah.
I'm the new planning commission, so I don't know.
I know, I thought that was also part of the other 5-year plan issue, but I'd have to go back through the whole thing,
Great.
and see.
Well, it's definitely something that we need to review
Yes.
personally
Yes,
and here, not just right now, but definitely
Right.
look over everything, like.
Great.
I did read it like for an hour today.
And again, this did not come to. It might have after December 1st. When I resigned,
Right,
prior to
right.
that,
Right.
it had not, was not addressed.
Have that written.
Yeah, this whole thing is, yeah. Okay, any other? I don't think we have to do anything. I think we're just
We're
reviewing.
just reviewing.
Yeah, so Any other comments on this plan? Do you have your notes written? Or I wasn't able to get them all.
I have them highlighted.
Yeah, okay.
Hand over to you.
Or I can get it at some point.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay,
Make motion to close public comment.
I'll second.
I'm sure that was, yeah.
You guys
I
good?
don't,
Yeah, okay. River access. All right.
I feel like we kind of killed it.
I think
I
we kind
think
of.
so.
The beginning, I don't think we have
I
anything-
honestly have
So-
never seen any of those either, so.
So
I didn't see that.
you want to?
Yeah, I'd like to walk over and at least take a
So,
look and
yeah.
see.
so a couple things, while you guys are looking, I'm gonna say a couple things.
Yeah, absolutely,
Right?
thank you.
So number one, I do wonder about your council meeting on the 7th and going for grants. Is it thinking that's gonna be approved at that point?
I'm
And if
not
so, it's
sure,
Not gonna come through planning commission?
but I do know that she would like everybody to put their input in as soon as possible. That's what I was told.
Right,
As far as moving forward or doing grants, I don't know any of that. I can't say that I.
Right.
know any of that.
Just the Parks and Rec plan is being finalized at the February meeting.
okay,
You need to
right,
review
thank
the
you.
objectives that were in the packet, because that's what she wants your input on.
okay, thank you.
So, yeah, the boat launch thing is still in the preliminary process.
Got it.
Yep. And that's what we thought, but then they asked and couldn't say for certain. That makes sense? I mean,
Yep, I just want to let you guys know, it's mostly the Parks and Rec plan is what needs to be reviewed.
so guys, what they decided was the one, I think the bottom one was the one they were gonna move forward with and get a cost for, a price for. Feel free to come up.
Yeah, you guys-
I saw both of them, but I don't know which is what.
So you're talking the one here that's got the two
The
different
bigger,
parking spots?
it's further away from the houses and there's more.
Yep.
And
Yep,
so
there's
handicap
more
is
distance here. I see there's more distance to the east
Yep.
Less of a.
Yeah.
and less of a walk.
for handicap.
Yep, for the
We're
handicap
dark.
accessibility.
This is Dave and Carol's driveway.
Oh,
This is their little
Oh,
lane
this is
back
our
to their
driveway.
shop, and this is our
That's,
driveway.
this is your driveway here?
Yep. and, yeah, we-
Okay, so the driveway would pretty much be across from
Right
there.
across from them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Dave and Carol's.
Yeah, I want to see, whereas this one is more.
Near yours.
Yeah, it's like
Yes.
we park our fifth wheel here,
Gotcha,
and that's our
gotcha.
driveway,
Okay.
but,
Nope.
yeah, okay. So this is the one that they're more thinking of.
That's what it sounds like.
That was just a quick, like,
This is-
hey,
yeah,
if you were
quick
gonna
rendering.
choose to, which
Like they
one?
always.
You know, it wasn't we're choosing that. It's not.
Kind of leaning.
That's it.
Like that one had better, it was further away from houses, it was better for handicap, it was better parking,
Yeah, it was good.
yeah.
Okay. So that was one thing I wondered about. I would like, I think we do want to do a field trip at some point.
Yeah.
To go out, because it's one thing looking at it there. It's
Yeah,
another thing to-
I know, I've seen it
mean,
once
I-
passing it.
And
I know where it's at. I know exactly where it's
Me
at,
too.
but,
Right.
I would like to see that.
I would like to see the testing results.
Me too.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
right.
that's very
Because that's
curious.
my biggest thing is them testing results and how are they planning on, what is the real plan, the big plan of being able to do anything, because that would lead me to think, like we were talking about with the discussion, that they're gonna have to bring in all sorts of soil just to build it up. So you wouldn't have that possibility of possibly digging down into anything whatsoever.
Right.
They'd have to build it all up.
Yeah, they gotta bring it up.
That would be more money, and that's what we're trying to avoid.
Right.
Because we want it to be as natural as possible, so it's not gonna be natural if we're bringing in our own stuff. I don't know,
Correct.
it's just thoughts.
So that's one of my big questions there. Because there is too many places nowadays that actually have the contaminated sites that you hear about them way too often,
Right, right.
way too often.
Okay, any other comment about the river access?
So it says that we want to like discuss or whatever, so I would think that they might want a recommendation of what we want to do, but obviously I recommend that we
can't recommend
Just
anything, so we have a
discuss-
plan.
I know, but
Right.
they were saying,
This
so
is
we
what they
need
wanna try to
way
go
more
on.
information. We need
Yeah, it's-
information galore
we need a
before we do
ton of-
anything.
Mhm.
Right.
So, okay,
Yeah.
I'm just saying,
And
so
we
when I
can
go to
give-
council, I'm gonna be the one speaking for it. I
And
want to
you've
know
got our,
what to say.
you've got the list
And that's
of
kind of what I
what
said
we've
on the
went
regular
through.
Yeah.
Was
and-
exactly that. I mean,
Yes.
Yeah, I have.
I mean, some of those
concerns and
things,
questions
some of
about-
his things he said was, I mean, I can comment from what I know, this is not a, for sure. I think they're planning on a security gate.
Yes, they've got a
They
gate
got,
on
they
there.
got a gate on it. My question was always, how are they gonna open it, and who's gonna open it and close it?
Correct.
Because on the second
DPW
one,
was thought of,
well.
because they were
so
discussing it with Dave.
is it
Yeah,
gonna
but see,
go
how would they
every
do it
day,
on the
every-
weekend? Who
Right.
would take care of
The
it on the
weekends
weekend?
is when you want to open them up.
Exactly.
Right,
Exactly.
right. So,
And what the time frame?
I say,
also.
let's not
Right.
discuss those things until we discuss toxic.
Yeah, we-
reports
Correct,
and stuff
exactly,
like that.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're planning on having any electricity,
There's
No.
no
no
electricity.
electricity, so
electricity,
cameras, that's gonna be.
You'd have to go solar,
Unless
Solar, yeah, well,
but I know how that goes with
right,
cost effectiveness, even with the
Right.
cities and stuff
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
But,
okay,
Yes.
anything else on the river access that we need to cover? Are you good with what you need to,
I believe so.
okay,
Sure.
I know,
I'm confident.
okay. Review of the master plan. We do that every year at this point. Mike normally leads. Mike, are you on?
I am. How you doing, Jeff?
Good, how about you?
I'm doing fine. I wish I could be there, ending my last day in isolation from COVID today. So yeah, I should be back next month. But
Are you gonna lead us through the master plan review?
This
and-
is Michael Daly who works.
Yes.
Yep, introduce myself. My name is Mike Daly Martin. I work for Preston Community Services. We are a planning and zoning consultant for the city. Have been for a long time. So I think the next two agenda items we have here: review the master plan and approval of the annual report for the Planning Commission. These kind of go hand in hand, and they are integrated together. And sent everybody a memo. Should have got it on Friday last week. It's a little lengthy and good.
It's not working, it's just the computer. Sorry, go ahead, Mike.
Okay, yeah. Just can you guys hear me? Okay.
It's
It's as good as
it's
it's
as
gonna
good as
get.
it's gonna get, so, sorry.
Yeah,
So
You guys wanna move your chairs up if you wanna hear it better, or?
if you go to the memo that we produced on last week, it's dated January 14th, and it says it's addressed to the Langsford City Council on behalf of the Planning Commission, and this is the annual report, and it includes the master plan review. So essentially what this annual report does is it takes a whole lot of information, pretty much everything we did last year. Who are the people on the board? How many times did we meet? What did we talk about? Things of that nature. The master plan is something that the state, specifically MEDC, asks that we review as a planning commission annually. And specifically to just make sure that, the plan is still relevant and we're making progress towards our major goals and objectives. A big reason this report this memo is so long is because we have a table in here called the master plan action table. And that takes up the bulk of it, the bulk of this memo. And what this is, these are all tasks that were identified as having priority and relating towards the goals of the master plan. Now, there's a lot of information to just digest at a meeting, but what I did was I found there's a few simple questions we can ask ourselves here today, and if we feel that with the answers to these questions, we can kind of tell ourselves, okay, do we need to dig into this more and do a larger update, or is the plan still relevant? So if you don't mind, I'll ask a few questions and then we can kind of just talk about it as a board. Is that okay?
Go ahead.
Okay, great. So the first question is, have development patterns changed significantly since the master plan was written and adopted? Now, keep in mind, this plan was first adopted in 2015. So I guess has development in Langsberg changed significantly since 2015?
I don't think so.
I would not think it would. We haven't, so in other words, we're going a
It
different
hasn't changed
direction
dramatically, no.
or,
It's,
Okay.
it's going in the right direction with more
Yeah.
homes and things like that.
Sure, but not so much development that, rewriting a new plan would be necessary because the factors have changed so much that our current plan doesn't make sense anymore, right?
right, no,
Okay. The next question, does current zoning ordinance align with the goals of the master plan? Do we feel like our zoning ordinance regulations are keeping up with what, the major goals and objectives are for the master plan?
so I would say if they weren't, we would have a lot more issues within this planning commission than we have. And it's been a pretty smooth year. So, I mean, is my take right on that?
And I agree with you, Jeff, personally. But also too, I've got a pretty specific view, right? You guys, we talk about different things that are issues in the city and we address them as they come up. But you folks may have a different view. So these are somewhat related just for discussion purposes too. I mean, does the rest of the board feel like that?
I do mostly, but at the same time, I mean, we just recently had a zoning meeting and before that, it was 3-4 years. So there's definitely things that may need to be looked at. And
Sure.
even the last meeting that we were at, we were kind of questioning, like, does this fit, what this person is asking? And so I think definitely needs to be looked at and we need to revamp for 2022.
Sure.
But it's always new and different and changing. And it's definitely something that I need to look into.
So,
Absolutely.
I think it's good mostly, but yeah, there are some things that I'm sure that could be looked at.
And I think, Dina, just to kind of specifically piggyback off that a little bit more, I think we're looking maybe about doing an amendment to the second driveway regulations. Is that kind of what we were talking about, right?
We were discussing that.
Bingo. So what I'd like to do is maybe just kind of include that as a note. So we talk about the master plan, whether we feel like overall, is it relevant still today? But what I do is I will follow up with a memo after this meeting to kind of summarize what we've talked about and those different points where we could make improvements. And that's what gets reported out to city council. And that will ultimately get reported to MEDC for our RRC continuing maintenance. So I'd like to I'll make a note there that we're continually working on the ordinance, specifically maybe looking at an amendment to that, if that's fair.
So yeah, there's always going to be things that are going to come up that are going to be zoning. I was talking about big things.
Yeah,
like,
in general, yeah. I mean,
right,
3 years,
yeah.
they haven't even had a meeting, so
Yeah,
well, and
obviously it's
that's-
probably
right.
decent,
That's why
but
here it's like the variances
yeah,
Right.
and things like that. That's where we get more involved
Yeah.
right.
of bringing up those variances to see, okay, is it something that we should approve to go to the council
Yeah.
for them to approve?
So yeah, I'm just going to mark it down here that, yes, generally speaking, it does align, but there are always those items that need to be addressed. And specifically, we're looking at, maybe making an amendment to that portion of the ordinance. So the next question is, have there been any major changes such as utility lines, major road improvements, large development approvals within the city over the last year?
Over the last year,
Over the last year.
I mean, the roads weren't dramatically changed, I would say. no.
they weren't
And you're not-
changed at all.
yeah,
They
yeah.
were just
Just
improved.
Repaving
Yeah.
isn't.
That's not a
Service-
service. That's an
resurfacing
improvement.
isn't- yeah.
It's not a change. That's,
Right, that's it, yeah.
well, I guess it would be
It
a
would be.
change,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
Woodbury was a
right.
change,
Right.
it was.
major improvement there.
Yeah, I think what they're getting at with this is more of, is there something that's really fundamentally, a major impact to the city, a major new employer, a major, like,
Jody.
say that again.
Losing part of our workers.
Yeah,
Volunteer.
yeah.
Volunteer,
right,
yeah.
right.
Still.
But no, I'm not gonna say.
Well, you're just like us,
Yeah.
volunteering.
So like putting a highway in around the.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that would
next
be a-
question.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what they're looking for. And I would have to say probably not. So the next question, have there been instances when the planning commission or elected body has departed from the master plan? So specifically, master plan, it's used for a guide for rezonings, most of the time, those types of amendments to the zoning ordinance. I guess last year we didn't talk about any, there were no zoning map amendments last year.
No,
So I don't think that we can,
no zoning map changes.
that's
No.
right. So no.
None of the marijuana would fit in that question. I mean, it wasn't zoning, it was
They had
special
to-
use.
Yeah, they had to go into.
Yeah, that was
zoning
that was the
authority.
special use stuff, because the zoning was already there.
Zoning was, yeah, it was all good,
Yes.
so, yeah.
So, yeah, that I wouldn't say that plays into that one, but it will play into another question I'm about to ask here. Does the plan address the location and types of land uses frequently requested?
Yes.
So this is where, our current master plan does not actually reference marijuana developments. 2015, that was definitely before the city, allowed those types of land uses. So I think that you could actually probably say no to that, that there are some updates that could be done to kind of reference those other land uses that, are relevant now. I know there's a moratorium in place, but moratorium is, it's meant to be for a specific period of time, right?
Okay.
So, yeah, I'd say no on that.
That one would be no then.
Thank you
See, and
all
I
for
was
coming.
thinking, thank you,
All right,
folks.
Thank you.
I was thinking that it was part of it because of the reviews, that were already in there and the ordinances that were passed.
Right.
Part of the plan.
So those are all part of the zoning ordinance. And they are relevant uses, right? They're allowed, and there are certain regulations that people have to follow. But at the same time, marijuana uses are not specifically called out in our master plan. So the big difference between the master plan and the zoning ordinance is that the master plan, that's our guide for future development. We're talking about a lot of hypotheticals there. I mean, and then we try and boil it down from, okay, where are our values as the community, to, okay, specifically because these are our values, we're going to prioritize, putting money into our parks, and we want to see, X, Y, and Z parks. We prioritize, creating, I think safe routes to school was actually a big one back, before the city went through that program. Identifying, those areas that could use, sidewalks for children to walk to school. It's those types of things that we are, and it's all in that action table. So when you go through and you look at that memo that we wrote up, these are all come right from the plan. So I guess, these questions that I'm asking you right now, they really are to kind of get to the underlying feeling of, are these big tasks, these big goals that we have in the plan, are these still relevant to us right now? Right.
So is there something that we should put in the plan about the marijuana stuff?
It's something that we could put into the plan, right? If we thought that there was going to be a lot of new marijuana type developments in the city, if we felt like we wanted to identify specific areas of the city that we wanted to see those types of developments go, that would be appropriate for a master plan. And it would definitely help. It would definitely help guide you folks in the future. Let's say if you were to get an application for rezoning, where somebody wanted to put in a marijuana business, but it currently wasn't zoned for that. If we identified it in the master plan now, or whenever we did that update, then you'd have a clear, direction what you should do for that specific person, right? It's not so.
Yeah.
Well, Yes and no. So as I understand it, I mean, when we talk about rezoning, but there aren't that many places that the state law would
Correct.
allow. I mean, so even if we rezoned,
Yep.
I mean, there's the 4 or 5 buildings down where they're at
Right,
is
It's
where they
still
can
maybe-
be. I mean,
yeah,
It still might be good to think
Yeah,
of
right.
something to put in for
Sure.
guidelines
Right.
of something.
Yeah.
'Cause-
because there's other areas, you know, like they were talking about towards the lagoons,
Right.
Yeah,
down that back road there, you know, things like that. They've already talked about the city where the old elevator used to be,
Mhm.
trying to develop that into something else.
right,
You know,
Mhm.
that would be you know, that could be a spot,
sure.
you know.
So-
even.
Jeff, I think you're spot on. You know, what you just said there. There's a handful of locations realistically that somebody can do that in the city. You know, where I think it's relevant is, you know, this is really your indicator every year. You're going to look back on this and say, okay, what did we talk about last year? What did we talk about 2 years ago? Well, we noted this year that, okay, marijuana establishments aren't, you know, we don't talk about marijuana in the master plan. You know, that in itself is not a good reason to update. But let's say we come up with 2 or 3 more reasons over the next 2 years, you know, then we're talking about, okay, well, look at all these other reasons why we should consider, you know, doing an update. It just gives you more ammunition, more reason to do it. But I don't think that in itself, it's not a problem that we don't address marijuana because, like you said, there's a
Rest in the others,
right?
The government's addressing
Yeah.
plenty.
yeah.
Okay.
2 more questions. Are the goals and the priorities of the plan in sync with the goals and the priorities of the appointed and elected officials? So do you feel that the different goals that we list in that action table are, you know, they resonate with you as
Level with us. I think so.
okay,
For me, yeah.
good. And that's what we hope.
He was a good guy coming into the planning commission, seeing like what you guys have already done and
Right.
talked about, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good.
All right. Any more discussion on that one? We want to move on to the last one.
You said there were 2. Did you have, I thought you said there were 2 questions. Did you ask?
Yep.
them?
Yep.
Okay.
So that was the first one, just whether the goals and the priorities of the plan are in sync with your priorities as a planning commission. And then the last one, have there been any other studies completed that changed the relevancy of the plan? Something like that could be like, I don't know if you folks remember when there was that economic development plan that happened. They brought in those folks from MSU Extension to kind of, you know, recommend some changes. You know, something like that could be, you know, could prompt a change in the master plan. To my knowledge, I don't think there's been anything this year that's really been done that would change the master plan. I know that we did get some information from that Giffords-Webster group, that consulting group from Southeast Michigan about changes to the zoning ordinance, but I think we largely addressed those over the course of the year. We made a lot of changes to the ordinance with that. And I guess I'm not sure. I don't think there's been any other major plans that have been done.
Right, that's, yeah.
So you can almost say that one's that's a no.
Okay, great. Any other questions for Mike on the review of the master plan, or, you know, you're good, Mike? You've got what you need?
I got what I need. Yeah,
Oh, yeah, we'll move on. Yeah.
great.
You're good? Sorry.
No, yeah, I'm totally good. And then the only other thing I have to say is that my next item on there, which is the annual report, just take a look at, just take a look and read through it. It really is kind of nice, you know, when I put this together, it's like, wow, you know, we've done a lot. It just makes you realize how much we've done this year.
Yeah.
So, you know, if you haven't taken a look through it, do just, you know, take a glance through. I mean, we've definitely, you know, we've done a lot of amendments to the ordinance. We've done, you know, a couple pretty big site plan reviews this year. You know, the variances are referenced in there, and then, you know, things like that outdoor use ordinance and the food truck ordinance. You know, there's been a lot of activity by this board this year, and, you know, you guys have done a really good job. So,
Okay. Any questions on the annual plan? We'll review it and maybe go over it again next meeting. Is that what you're thinking, or just bring up if we have questions?
If you want to go over it again next meeting, you're welcome to. If you feel comfortable with where it's at, just recommend that it be passed along to city council.
Is this something you want to discuss more or look at? Are you guys happy with it?
The planning commission report?
Yeah, do we want to just send it to council or do we want to discuss it more?
I don't really know that we
No, I-
have more discussion
Yeah, I
to
don't-
go on.
I don't know
that,
either. I'm
you know,
just
honestly.
asking.
Right, right.
In my eyes, it would
I
just
mean,
be,
Mike recommended reading through it.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I mean, so,
so we could read through it a little bit more and then next week or next month.
Fine. There's not,
Um,
there's not a hard timeline on this stuff. I just want to make sure, you
Right.
folks, comfortable with it. And, as soon as it gets passed along to council, we'll note that date and then we'll send it along to the state.
I have a question as somebody who lives in town.
Yeah.
I run the market and I don't remember reading too much about the market in the master plan. Is that something that we can improve on? Is it something that I bring up right now? Is it-
that is something that can be brought up
I would love for it to be a
And-
better spot.
to be,
I mean,
I
that's
don't know,
my
so
thought.
I think that's,
I know it's an issue, but at the same time,
but I'm not sure that's a master
I
plan.
don't think, no,
thing.
that's,
but that's an improvement.
it's an
Oh, yeah, no,
improvement
no, no,
for,
no, I get
yes,
it, I
yes.
get it, but it's not,
Improvement for land use and stuff like that,
Yeah.
yes, is what,
Yeah.
you know. Right there, I think they're gonna have a really hard time trying to change that
well,
also because of what
what do you,
you know,
so I'm not
You're talking about
disagreeing with what
location.
you want to do and moving it. I'm just not sure that goes in the master plan.
no,
Would you agree with
No,
that, Mike?
got
Am
it,
I
okay.
missing it?
No, I think you're right. I think that, yeah, I think that particularly
It's
needs
too
to be
specific.
referenced in the master
Well,
plan.
yeah, the master
I get it.
plan is, okay,
Yeah.
we're up here, you're talking down here.
Yeah, I am.
No, yeah, I don't know, I don't know where you go with
No, I
this
know.
stuff down here, but it's not this stuff. up
This is
here.
something I would want to discuss. at
Yeah,
some
Yes,
point.
yes,
yeah,
no,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I think that's
Tina?
gonna be, that's gonna
That
be.
might be something that would be for the goals and objectives of the park and recreation plan, though.
Yeah.
True.
So
and
you
that's-
guys should have discussed the goals and objectives that you were given. And that could be something, if that's something that you guys want to see done, it could be added to the Parks and Recs plan.
Thank you.
Because it did say, yeah, in that, the update plan, like, what do we want to do with that area by your house? Or where you, right behind you, the open area.
Cause they didn't, Dollar General didn't go down there.
Right.
Yeah, it went out there.
Anyway,
Yeah.
we'll carry on.
All right. Anything else on the annual planning commission report? Mike, are we coming back to you for the expert lawn care special
Yeah.
use? You're gonna give us an update on that?
So just a summary, and we really shouldn't have too much discussion here without the actual owner of the business present, having an opportunity to talk about himself. This was approved in 2020, specifically. Looks like it went to council on September of 2020. So a condition of approval for these folks, and this is the 117 Lang Street, or I apologize, 101 Lang Street. I'm not sure. Was everybody on? I know at least a few of you were not when this was approved.
I don't think Scott was.
I don't think
on
Scott
it,
was, yeah.
Okay,
but we
so-
all, rest of us were, I think.
expert ones know. They went into the big hoop style building right at the intersection of Lang and Crum. They bought the building next door, which was a home. They tore that home down, and they put a parking lot there. But it was pretty contentious when it was approved in 2020, and because of that, I actually was not present for that public hearing, so I can't talk about all the details with that. But I can tell you that a condition of approval was that after 1 year of operation, the planning commission would review the conditions of the permit, accept additional public comment, and provide feedback on whether or not additional sound barrier would be required. So just to kind of follow through with that condition of approval, we should hold another public hearing for these folks to let the neighbors come and talk about how they've been,
I mean,
how-
I'm right here. Oh, just kidding. Just
Say
kidding.
I'm up the road.
I'm probably the only person that would complain, but I don't think it's been bad. enough.
Well, there was
There's a
there
couple
was a
things here and there,
gentleman
but
that
it's
was
not a
on the
big
other
deal.
side of the fence, so,
He
he
did
was-
move.
oh, did he move?
Yeah,
Okay,
he moved.
okay. Because of that.
Okay.
His son was.
Oh, I know,
he
yeah, I
was
remember,
very-
I remember the.
But I think
the-
he moved just,
But I thought they put in the fence to stop. the
I think he
lights.
just moved right away. He was
Okay.
just like, I'm
I
out.
say he wasn't gonna deal with it because there's new people in there
Yeah,
now, right?
there's-
Yeah.
Actually, Mrs. Hazel, Jim Hazel's mom.
Oh, really? That's why I saw Jim down there then. Okay.
So Mike, we need to have another
Public hearing.
public hearing scheduled to discuss it,
Yes.
Would recommend public hearing to council,
or do we
that we
just?
just do it.
We would, ideally
Cassie?
here, at the planning commission, whenever is reasonable, next month, the following month, does not matter to me, but we should do it soon. And at that point, if there's any need to change the terms of the special land use, then we can recommend, or you folks can recommend to council to make those changes.
So
Okay.
we go ahead and do the public hearing. Based on that, we make a recommendation for the
Right.
city council to make a change if required.
That's exactly
I
right.
have a question first though, because I'm reading the email
Yes,
that you attached here.
yes.
When it talks about permits for buildings and things like that, how long do they last then?
So you should not be occupying a structure unless you have a SIBO. And currently, there is some back and forth with the county, and they are occupying that structure without a SIBO. So there's a larger, there's a larger building code violations at play. But it, as it's this board should review their use regardless of that. So we could talk about that with them there. But yeah, from my discussion that I've had with Silvio Young, the building official at the county, he is that doesn't seem like they want to get their C of O, and they're operating. They really shouldn't be operating there at all right now.
But that doesn't affect
Outside of our
us.
purview.
No,
That's not our
that's
review.
not our purview. Yeah.
That's outside of our purview, 100%.
Yep, right. Yep.
That is something that's also, that the county is dealing with.
Okay.
But
Yep.
you
I'm
folks,
just asking because of the fact that that email was in here in this packet.
yeah, and I wanted to just kind of give that feedback that, there are some other factors at play here. And that was kind of a discussion piece between Paula and I, just to kind of give her an update with what was happening with the county at the time. But for you folks, a condition of their approval is that the planning commission review how they're operating after a year. So that's kind of where we're at.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you.
I give you a play-by-play, so when public hearings are, got it.
Okay. Last thing under items of business, one driveway. Are we coming back to you, Mike, on that?
Yes. Come
Okay, I figured.
And
Just stay here.
talk about this a little bit too, but essentially what happened is that in November, there was a zoning board of appeals meeting. 2 of those requests were to establish a second driveway on residential parcels. Both were denied. One of the property owners was pretty upset about that, just felt that, given his circumstances, that, he should have been given the option to put in a second access drive. So I guess that kind of, right now, the current rule is that it's one driveway per parcel for a residential parcel. Doesn't matter where you're located. Doesn't matter if you're on a corner lot with, two road frontages. So I guess, just because we are running into more of these issues where people are putting in driveways without, consulting the city, and then they become enforcement issues, is it something that you as a board think that people should be allowed to have a second driveway? And if so, should we look into that some more? You know, is that something that we're interested in possibly pursuing as a language amendment moving forward? Or is it something that we just feel that, no, people should have one access drive per parcel? And that's just it.
I'll speak, I was there. I was the one who told the gentleman, go to the planning commission and maybe bring it to their attention that maybe it should be changed. Maybe it should be reviewed at least and looked at, because what he was proposing was he owned 2 lots and he wanted to put them together. And then have a pole barn on this side with a driveway, but then if you put them together, then it's 1 lot, and he already has a driveway over here. So the whole thing was, he either had to keep them separate and not put a pole barn, which, because you have to have a house. It was just a big old mess, and so I thought, you know, what if we did discuss it or think about it? I understand 1 driveway is enough, but sometimes, is it really? Who are we to, I mean,
Well, but that's a,
it's a
that's a
fair,
case where I think it's a perfectly legitimate reason for having a pole barn, 2 different lots, 1 driveway per lot.
Yeah,
but
but he wants to
you-
combine them.
But you
which makes-
Well,
can't,
no,
you can't have a pole barn without a house.
Right.
So then you would
He
have
wants
to
to combine
join
the 2
them.
lots as one.
I get it.
So
I
there was
get
a
it.
So,
house
yeah,
and pole barn.
and I
I
get
get it.
exactly.
Yeah,
So it was,
And I
it
also
was
know
hard
the
to
other
decide.
situation that was going on here.
But,
Yeah.
but we also have the question here, you can take a drive around town, and I know at least 4 places that use 2 driveways right now.
There's
So
one with
obviously,
3.
we're not enforcing it. Or,
Or how do we enforce
yeah,
it?
how do
Is
we,
it-
how do we enforce it?
Right.
Could you base it on
I-
size?
I am not gonna mention a driveway, but
Right.
I know quite a few of them, and people just do it anyway, so.
So define a
What do
driveway.
we do?
Well, that's my next question is actually,
so
what would be considered the driveway?
if I just start driving across my yard, is that a
You know,
driveway?
Yeah. That is a big question.
I mean, when the other person who asked, they had a driveway here and they wanted another one here, but they were parking their car here. So it was kind of like 3, but. it
They're
was
parking,
2,
well,
and-
they're parking on both sides.
I know, but we said, we denied it and said that they could only have this one.
Right.
But they're still using this one. They've already put it in before they even asked us. So that was a whole, but I don't know if, is it something that we want to
But
discuss?
What's
Is it
the
something that-
logic of only having 1 driveway per lot?
A lot of
It's an
little curves.
ordinance and with the curb,
When you.
because not all the streets,
That's, so to me, that's a different issue.
right,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a-
considering a
that's a
lot of your
safety
streets
issue.
Right. yeah.
But if I'm
don't
on,
have curbs.
right.
You know,
yeah,
most of your streets,
Yeah.
honestly, in
Oh,
this
you're saying
town,
Curbs, not curbs.
no,
curbs.
curbs.
Curbs, yeah.
But most
Well,
of
yeah,
your,
But-
they don't have curbs. They don't
Right.
have a curb and gutter.
Right, but if somebody wants to take that curb out and put in a driveway, why not? And
As long as it's
I'm not
not,
arguing
you
for it.
right.
I'm
It's
asking
just
that
something
question.
to ask, yeah.
yeah, and
something to ask.
I honestly think that there is a need for review on that.
I think so.
I think there really is.
Because I
because-
saw, this one, they just put it in, so in your head, you're kind of like, well, then I don't want to give it to them because they just did it anyway.
Right.
But at the same time, in
They didn't go through
reality,
the right proper
you know,
channels. Correct.
it's still a
It's
right
already
thing,
there,
it's a
and it-
fair thing to discuss. And the
Yes.
other guy,
You-
I kind of felt bad for denying it because it
Right.
was like,
And
it was
I get
legitimate, it's 2
I get
different streets.
needing a house on a pole with a pole barn because you just don't want pole barns popping up
Right.
Right.
all over the place.
Right.
I get that one, but there should be able to have, and Mike, you're the expert on this. There should be able to do a special exception where he's doing 2 lots
We could
and,
have.
and tied it
but
together. I mean,
we were trying to
that
see
seems
the ordinance,
logical to
but
me
we didn't know.
and could have been done to approve it, right? Without, now I know, then you get into, well, he did it, why
Yeah.
can't I do it?
And we had 2 the same
Right.
day, so it was like,
Yeah,
There's other things that could have been done to allow him to
Yeah.
move forward with what he needed to do. Absolutely, without getting that.
just with an apartment in the barn, and then it would be a living space with a driveway.
Well, that's
Do
the
we
thing.
actually use that,
But it's-
allow that in town though?
I don't know, I just.
Talking about barn.
Hey, those things are awesome.
Yeah, they are. My wife wants
So
one.
I tried to talk my, she won't have nothing to do with it. I want to say we'll buy some land, we'll
so
park our fifth wheel
Mike,
in there.
Mike, what were you talking about? What were you gonna say?
Oh, just You know what? Don't even remember exactly, but all I can say is that I will bring some more information for you guys to look at for next month.
That would
Thank
be
you.
awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Because do you know, is there other towns that have certain circumstances or certain ordinances to have 2 driveways on a parcel?
I need to do the research. I really don't know. I
Or
know.
a certain amount of acreage.
Well, because I
Something.
mean, honestly, that's just like looking at my property,
Mhm.
because I go between 2 roads. And if I wanted to actually put up a small barn, it would have to be in technically my backyard.
Yeah,
But it
yes.
would be off of First North, so
That's
I
what
would
that
have to
was.
have a drive
Right, yeah,
off of First
which
North.
would make perfect
So-
sense.
But that's how that one was. It was on a different road. It
Yeah.
was High Street and
Right,
whatever the other one is. and we were
so,
like,
so that's, you know.
So
the
what
different-
happens if we have a duplex? On a lot,
Oh.
Because it's a
good question.
because
I
yeah,
mean-
I know where one's at right now that's on the same
Oh, no, right
property.
there.
West Street.
Oh, there's one on Abbott.
I mean,
Yeah,
and they
there's a
have.
couple.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
you've got a
Sorry,
duplex at both ends and you've got a driveway at both ends,
Mhm.
but it's a double dwelling. So I think that might be
That might
part of the
be- yeah.
difference. So
So now we're back
Yes,
to.
so we
putting the
definitely
apartment
need
in the full part.
info.
Yeah.
please, Mike, bring us some info.
Yeah, I'll bring you some info. I'll show you what some other communities do, and yeah, just because right now it's really limiting, and I think that's, you know, it seems reasonable that we look into it a little bit more and maybe get a little bit more, I
I
guess.
see on the overall thought of having 1 driveway per lot makes sense, but there also should be a way to have exceptions and be able to allow
Variances.
people variances.
Yes.
Yes.
right, to be able to do it,
Yes.
so. I mean,
Yeah,
his example of 2 different lots is a perfect example that makes total sense.
Yeah.
You have to have verbiage that, I mean, maybe he says, well, you can't sell the lot with the pole barn without the house, or
It
we're-
wasn't, you had to be.
you had to
one
make
and-
it 1, yeah, and then we're gonna do a variance for that, so.
okay, great.
Okay. Thank you, Mike, for your
Yes,
assistance.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, and then the last thing on here is no extension for remote meetings. I believe that is, and help me, Dina, they no longer can do,
You just can't be on there.
Can't-
You have to be present
have to be here,
physically.
right, for us,
Obviously, you can
members-
listen, but you're not gonna
Right.
count.
for members of the meeting. have
Oh,
to be
the
here.
actual
Yes.
commission,
The board members,
planning commission board member.
Right.
yeah,
Okay,
And city council,
any member
for
of
that.
any board.
Okay.
for that,
They
they
have to
have to be present. Like, we can have obviously
Right.
presenters,
correct.
right? But you have to be, so
Okay.
that was a rule, that was a law, that was something that was changed with COVID back in 2020 that would allow, that. And really that just expired, so now back to the previous
Yeah.
rule that you have to be on site.
Unless they change things again.
Well, they could, right?
Right?
But at this point,
At
it
this
has
point right
changed.
now, because of the way the law is. Okay, I
Yep.
see.
Okay, anything else?
I make a motion to end the meeting.
I'll second
You
that.
guys
All right.
stop. So you have no goals and objectives to add or anything to add to the Parks and Rec plan?
Parks and Rec plan.
Oh,
Well, I
That
thought
was
we
the
went-
second thing on the agenda. You opened the public comment, but you guys never discussed any of it.
Probably did.
You heard the public comment, but then you never discussed it, so. I just want to make sure
Thank
you
you,
have
Cassie.
nothing that
Thanks
you
a
want
lot.
to discuss.
Jeez,
before you
oh, peace,
vote.
thank you.
You know, that whole chapter 7 there? Not that I want to keep us here longer, but
8-5.
And we have to have this done tonight for
Oh, yeah.
the next city council meeting?
right, because at the next city council meeting, we want to have everybody's opinions
Oh,
and things
I know
that
what it
the
was.
planning commission would like to see added into the Parks and
Jody
Rec
was talking
plan.
about part of this. That's why.
Yeah.
So now I realize what we're, yeah,
Yeah, so we want your guys' input on what you would like to see in the Parks and Rec plan. This is where the
farmer's
office
market?
staff started, but we want your opinion also.
So,
Yeah,
Okay, That's
I'm-
fair, got it.
well, yeah, but we don't, I mean.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're not gonna get what you should get from us. Let's just put it that way. Okay? We just don't have.
we don't have the information.
Okay,
Right.
but that's just for the
That's
lake
for the
access.
river. Yeah, that's
So I would
like
like
we
to
were
add
talking about
in
for the
farmer's
parks, the
market.
farmer's market,
Yep.
a better location.
Right,
Better
which that's
location.
kind of on there in the use of
Yeah.
that space. So
Yeah,
if
Right.
it
you
is on
want
there.
that to be added, then note that so we can
Yep.
add that.
And honestly, you guys, you know where she was talking about that objective 3 about
Yeah.
Friends of the
Yeah.
Parks?
Yeah.
Lark is talked about in that next paragraph
It is, yeah.
about joining both.
Said they may wish to organize or be a part of.
Correct.
Do the Friends of the Park exist?
Not
Or
yet.
It's saying to
It's
start.
stating that you could
But I-
establish one.
I think that's because there's nobody
And I
to
don't-
man the station, so they're
Correct.
like, does anybody want to come and help
Right.
and figure this out?
Correct.
And I don't
So-
think Jody's comments were against the Friends of the Park. It was
No.
No,
more-
she
No,
just
it was
wanted
just-
to know if it
yes.
was.
Yes,
She was actually stating seemed to me like it was one and the same.
right,
And in my, it's not, because you still have the
right,
other.
right. No, I get it, right,
Yeah.
yes.
So we should appoint, okay, so we'll write that. So we should appoint something for a committee of the Lark or Friends of the Park or something. I mean, not
To
us
possibly
directly, but
include
we
both.
should definitely,
Yes.
yeah. I'm gonna go to this.
Okay. Talking about, it also was brought up about the walkable community.
Yeah,
That is in here about the school, being able to walk to school, things like that. Safe, yes.
Safe route, safe
it
passage.
talks about going to the high school all the way. So they're gonna. I
Correct.
mean, It's
And
there.
they want to,
Yeah.
because what they've actually talked about doing also is doing, instead of it going all the way down the edge of Woodbury, is to go down the edge of the private drive,
Yeah,
back in there by the soccer fields.
Right.
To have it part of their walkway, so
Could
they're
they-
not out on the main road.
Could they come, is there a way to get west of the subway and Dairy Den?
no, I
Down.
think it would probably
They
go.
would, it would
Well,
probably, it would have to go
Woodbury
up
around.
past, no, it would have to go up past Family Dollar, and then probably down the side of the driveway back to the recycle bin and everything
Well,
else.
that was what I was asking.
Yes.
There isn't a way
Yes.
to get west,
Not around,
west of.
no, because you got, for starters, you have
Right,
their
'cause I know that-
septic,
Yeah,
pond
yep.
back there.
Well, I know that.
So-
Technically, there is a way through.
There is a trail, yes, there is a trail, because I used,
Right now.
yeah, I used to
So
go
if
that way
there's a
myself
trail,
with snow.
Could it be refined? I mean,
Because it's
know.
private property,
that's what,
School property.
back in behind the school building, yes, but
Well, it goes in between, the parking, right side of the lagoons, or the left side of the lagoons and the right side of Mahoney's, like little path, those right.
right, yeah, there is, yes,
Yeah.
you're absolutely right.
Mahoney's.
Yeah, hey, we're down
Yeah,
to
I know.
dating
Yeah, I
ourselves
know.
again.
No, I
Come
knew,
on.
I knew what you were talking about.
He
But
said-
Scott didn't have an idea.
What the
Didn't
I
have
was
a
going, what the
clue.
hell's Mahoney's?
I know what you're talking about. But do you also know that Mahoney's used to be my building?
No.
Okay,
I
so
didn't know
let's
that.
move
Yeah.
on from there.
that one.
So continue funding for park maintenance.
Yes.
Yes, obviously, that's all good to go. And they do it annually and continuously. Maintain and enhance the perception of the parks recreation are being clean, safe, and they are, and they're completed. The 3, I think that, yeah, we need to find a group to do all that stuff that Jody and them were doing.
Well, and the big thing also is residents in the surrounding neighborhood
Mhm.
should be specifically invited to provide comment.
Yeah.
Because you've got a lot of these other parks like this one here, the Abbott Tree Park.
Mhm.
Not too many people know about that park up
I
there.
know,
as it
nobody
is.
knows about it.
Nobody,
probably.
because
yeah.
they haven't used it now for years. It used to be younger kids'
Where is it?
soccer.
It's asking
It's
us
actually
if we
right
want to.
Where the
improve
curb is
it.
at for Abbott to turn, where it turns into tree.
Okay, so you go down, you know where Becca Allen lives?
Kind of.
You turn right And it's
Okay.
gonna be down there.
You
at
know
the
where
end
my
of the
grandmother
street.
lives?
No,
Lyra Freidenberg?
no.
No.
I think we can do the field trip.
Yeah,
Let's
yeah.
add 2
It's kinda
steps
right
to our
there.
field trip.
There's a large
Oh,
lot
wait, I got
right
it.
there that's like
So-
2 acres.
Okay.
The school has that little dirt road that's a one-way,
Mhm.
the next street right there.
Yeah,
So
Okay.
right.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
Street
Street
Street.
So anyway, they're also asking, is that a park that we want to improve on? Do we want to grow? Do we want to add to it?
Because at one point they talked about trying to sell it, Even.
So
that
I-
part.
it's something, I think if it is a park, I mean, maybe we find something quiet, I don't know. But obviously we just talked to the neighborhood.
Yeah,
So, I don't know. What was that one? Repair issue problem. Commission park system.
So what is in the street, the park there?
nothing.
There's
Nothing
nothing.
There's absolutely nothing. I mean,
Okay, I was
they,
gonna say, 'cause
they-
I've
well,
gone by there a million
they
times. and
even
drive my
took
bus
out-
by there every
it
day.
used to be, there
There
used to be
a
2
little
or 3.
playground, right? Like a little.
Well, it wasn't a
metal one.
playground. There wasn't a playground there, but they used to even have 3 of the outside barbecue areas.
Yeah.
Like they used to have out to the park and stuff like that. It used to be 3 of those back in there, but they tore them out years ago. And there's,
So is that something that? we
there's nothing.
should consider
City a
improving?
lot of times puts extra snow, piles the extra snow up in the driveway
From the
up
corner,
there.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, here's a question. Do we have any dog parks in the community?
no,
That's,
And we've had a lot of people ask for them,
Yep.
but we also have a lot of concerns about
Yep.
them. So it's kind of like,
It just needs to be a fenced in area, right?
I know, but a lot of people are afraid, like, there should be rules because dogs will attack dogs or people
Yeah.
or
leash
kids.
and
You know, there's a
laws.
lot of little this and that, but obviously a
We had a guy
majority
who
of
was
the
gonna
people in
donate
the
his
thing
property
wanted
for
it.
Really?
At one point, yeah.
It's definitely something that the community wants. So,
Or at least he was thinking, he was talking about that. You know, Serious.
so I think 4 is good. It's being taken care of. And they're doing that. They are gonna be putting or updated cameras and lighting in there. Okay, goals 2. Improve existing pedestrian accessibility from the residential development to the east and west of the elementary school and from elementary school to McClintock. I mean, I think that's decent already.
because didn't they just go through and redo a bunch of sidewalks and stuff?
Yeah. So it's completed annual. Okay, so that's all good too. 2, convert, this is the one, convert Abbott Street to something else.
What
Yeah.
page is that?
That's page
8 or
48.
Page 8 in
48.
the bottom square.
So that's gonna be convert Abbott Street Park into an active recreational area, and then alternatives are to be reviewed and discussed. It's something that we should think about. And we should.
Because they talked about that a
obviously-
little bit last year and nothing really ever come about it. Because there was that one. Because that was when they first really started talking about the river access part, that they wanted to really try
Right.
to do something there.
So we just need like a huge, I mean, Paula just put out a big this survey or whatever, but I feel like we need something, you know, to ask people. Is this something that you guys want to utilize over here? We have this big, beautiful park right here that I don't think is really lacking anything. Bait Scout is being amped up better. And then, do we want to have something over here? I don't know. Something to think about.
Do we need?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's
We
the
have
other
awesome
thing.
parks, so, but maybe a dog park. I mean, that might
Yeah.
be sweet to have
That
right
would-
there. And it's out of the way. It's right.
I think it'd be good for the community.
I think so
Definitely.
too.
And there is a drive. I mean, there's a parking lot.
Mhm.
There is a small parking lot that you can fit
Even if it's
probably
just-
a dozen vehicles in
Which
at
would be
least.
perfect.
Even if it's just gravel, it doesn't matter.
Which it is just gravel, you
Gravel and
know.
a fence.
Yeah.
Look like-
They would have to put a
Technically,
fence
we'd
back.
have to pave it, right? They have to be
Yeah,
paved.
It's gonna have to be paved
But yeah,
because it's a parking lot.
okay, so.
And then they would
let's-
have to put a fence down both sides. Well, actually, all the way around it even because
Yeah,
of even the
it's-
tree line.
Yeah,
I have, and a campground up and near Byron. And the
Yeah.
Campground put a really nice one in, just
Dog park.
my dog park.
Yeah.
It'd be worth field trip.
Yeah. Well, I go by the one over in Was, the one right there by the lake
Yep. yep.
that they put in. That's a really nice
Yeah,
one there
very
too.
nice.
And there's
And you
people there
see-
all the time.
Yeah, you'll see
Yeah.
20 dogs in there.
Yeah.
You know,
I would take my dog.
Yeah.
Okay, so I put little question marks, neighbors, dog park.
Mhm.
Okay, so objective 3, they want to know as the Irene Street property into the vacant property commonly known as the Irene Street property into the Flintock Park. In 2020, the city constructed an amphitheater. So they've put the basketball courts in, they completed other stuff there. So I don't think there's anything that needs to be done there.
I didn't realize that it was still considered the Irene Street property.
Yeah, I don't.
I thought it was part of it. I thought it was a park.
Park now.
Yeah, because the driveway used to come in off of this. Because that was Irene Street.
Yep. Oh, that was a long time ago.
Yeah, when the house sat there on the hill.
Yeah. Okay, so, yeah,
Okay,
that was a cool
good
house.
place to watch softball.
yes, it was.
Okay, so I think that's all
great
good. So number
too.
4, convert a portion of Bait Scout into other uses as deemed appropriate. Develop a preliminary site plan. I mean, I think we could, but I know that the Lions are adding things to it, right? Or they did, or they're gonna.
They have,
They
and they're
have.
still talking about more.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's
Because-
always an ongoing thing.
Because they're the ones that did the basketball court.
Yeah.
They've done, what is it, pickleball?
I don't think
Is that
we
what
need
that is?
to.
No, it's all-
Or what is that?
Gaga
called?
pit?
That's it, Gaga, that's it.
Seek development grants. I mean, I guess we could look into stuff like that, but
The biggest thing out there is there's not, the space isn't there. Because of the trees,
How much room is left?
yeah, there isn't a lot of, unless you're gonna have more trees taken down, and that's something that people are gonna fight
so
on.
maybe that's something that we need to ask the neighbors, like,
Sounds like
hey,
another field trip.
is there some, ask the neighbors, is there something that you would like to see there?
Well, and
Because I
it's-
know
and
it's mostly just a
it's-
baseball thing and
Well,
a,
it's not even that, it's also the fact of the flooding.
yeah.
Yeah,
plus
that's
they
that
could-
whole
All
front
the,
area. is
well, not even
always
just the
flooded.
front, it's the front,
Goes all the way back.
it's all the way around, even on the one side, because of the
So we
low ground.
need an ice skating rink. No, just kidding.
You know, people go in there,
there.
people go in there and they get stuck
Yeah,
when they're trying to park to watch.
I mean, when I was 16, my Delta went through that night.
Oh, we used to, yes, I'm gonna be quiet. here.
Anyway,
Yeah.
Or you talk about your kayakers and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
When I was 16 years old, I lived on Trail Road. We put our canoes in the river on
Oh, yeah.
County Road, canoe all the way to Portland.
nice.
We did that 14, 15, 16 years old. It'd take us, we'd stop the farmer's field, stay the night, put a fire, make our dinner, and they call
Okay.
Mr. Witzel
When
and
I,
pick us up in Portland the next day.
I don't need to interrupt.
when I was in school, there was some of the kids in school that actually, they built a raft, just like Huck Finn did.
Mhm.
And that's what they did. They went down the river and that's what their
Did all that.
big thing for school was.
Don't see kids doing that these days.
Nope.
You see them doing.
Yep.
So objective 4, I just said, check neighborhood, see what we could do in there, maybe. Grant,
Well,
I
see,
don't
and
know.
I
Yeah,
can't
that's
believe
just
there's a
something you
whole lot
really
more
need
you
to
can
look
do.
into.
The
Yeah.
number 5 about the implement sidewalks.
Where are
On page
you?
50. The next page, sorry. Page 50, where it says number 5, because it was part of the,
Oh,
you were talking about Bay Scout
Yeah.
Park and stuff.
that's partially completed.
Well, and I would like to know, just like Jody brought up, are they talking about anything else on Woodbury Road there
Yeah,
between,
What's the path?
Doyle up to the cemetery where the part, or the sidewalk is now,
I put path question mark.
because I don't,
Do I just hand this to Paula, Cassie, and I'm done my notes?
She's gonna take notes from the YouTube. And I'm taking some here too.
thank you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so let's go to wait, connect base. Yeah, this is the whole road one. We just
Yeah.
want to know the path. That's really
Yeah.
what we're concerned about. Okay, so then obviously objective 3, oh wait, objective
2,
2, develop sidewalk for trail from McClintock to the Beaver. I mean, I don't think that's an issue. Also, that's just another path and.
Right, that's another,
That's
which
nothing that we need to
routing are
do
they
or
gonna wanna do?
change. But they
Because
have-
it says here, develop a route.
Yeah. And then number 3, that's the looking glass thing. We just need a lot more info.
In a field trip. Come, I want to see the place.
Yeah. Okay, so objective 4. We just
Cool.
skip that right now.
Camp has to be done.
Develop, I know, but I mean, because it goes, it's kind of with this. Develop a trail from Looking Glass River and potentially water site access to the city downtown. I mean, that's not something that we could even think about if we don't even know if we're even gonna consider putting
True.
access there. So
Well, and
that's
that's gonna
something
be a hard
that's-
thing to even look at possibly developing because that's
Yeah.
not all city property.
Right.
Right,
Mhm.
so let's just nix that right now, just for the moment, like table it.
Table, objective 4.
Okay, objective 5, develop the area owned by the city commonly known as Hogsback as a trail, open space area and active recreational area such as a sledding hill. The trail would connect with the future Looking Glass downtown trail as well as to create an opportunity for future connection to the middle school and Abbott Treat Street Park.
Okay,
I'm gonna make an opinion on this. We don't know crap about this. This is all written in here. Handed, and we gotta do something with it today.
And
I don't even.
I don't know a lot of
Hogsback is.
things. I don't know a lot of things about what's going on in the city and stuff, but a lot of this is too new to me, and I'm looking at the planning commission. Why have I not been informed?
I'm the same way. I'm on city council and I didn't know any of this here. I
It's
think
like
this is
stuff is
something
drawn
that
up
shouldn't
and we
be
haven't even discussed it.
discussed.
We don't know a thing about it, and then we gotta turn this into the,
So we're gonna table
Council?
that as well, so,
Does
Ah.
anybody know what what?
no.
No
I've
one knows the
lived here
Hogback? Don't know
40
the
years
Hogback
and I
Trail?
don't know.
Don't know which one. No.
Okay,
I mean, I know where the park is and I know where the trail, I guess Hogsback. I don't know.
I don't like being bombarded with stuff.
I know, I don't know what
I
any of
feel
it
like
is.
I'm-
It's part of the Parks and Rec plan, that's all it is.
What?
It's part of the Parks and Rec plan. She just pulled this section out of the Parks and Rec plan.
gotcha.
Part of it's the old, the new.
It's what was
That's
in
why
there
some of it's
already that they
completed
wanted to
already.
discuss.
But she updated it to see. what-
Gotcha.
Because we're trying to get it updated and approved by February, because we have to have it updated and approved by then in order to apply for any grants this upcoming year.
I don't
Gotcha.
think it's something that we should.
It's-
No, we can't
No.
approve it.
It doesn't need to be finalized or anything. They just want to know if you have anything to input. You know,
Got it.
like you'd like to see looked into the dog park at Treat Street, just
Uh-huh.
what things you'd like to have in the plan,
Gotcha.
so it can be done in the future.
Right,
It's not like you have to write it.
I'd like to look at all these places, really.
yeah. I have a
And the
Tahoe.
Hogsback area is the area, kind of the wooded area behind what would be Williams, like across from the parking lot at the middle school. It's a big drainage area.
Oh, okay.
Back,
Okay.
Oh.
Say that again?
I know
So
that area.
it's the wooded area
Behind
Story
the, no.
Oh,
I'm lying.
behind your house.
It's say back
It's
in
right
behind your
behind
place.
the animal.
okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
behind
oh,
the,
okay.
behind the vets
Yeah,
area.
yeah.
Yeah.
Got
Justice is on one end,
Uh-huh.
and is it, does
They're
Dar,
not there anymore.
Stars, yeah.
Dar still own the house?
Yeah.
And then
No,
it's that wooded area that they went through and they cleared part of it out.
Yeah, it's just
Because
the
of the
whole
power
wooded
line or
area
whatever?
behind.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you,
I
Cassie, for
take
letting
my
me know what
dogs
that
back
was.
there quite often.
You should, might maybe know that one.
Where's it?
Behind you guys, and then there's
So-
another road
So you
right,
know,
right
behind our
there,
building, there's the vet,
Okay.
right behind them.
right behind the vet, that corner, there's
Okay.
trails and
Because
there's
that's the,
woods, and I can see where the hogback, because it kind
Yeah.
of,
Oh, it does.
up.
It goes
Okay.
down and
Yeah,
it's the
uh-huh.
drainage.
On both
Yes,
sides.
now that she
Yeah.
states
yeah,
it,
I
I,
haven't discovered around that area.
Yeah.
Expansion, okay, so, sorry, I moved on.
no, that's,
Objective 6, expansion of Memorial Park, the property to the west currently slated for commercial redevelopment. Seek funding from the appropriate sources to expand
Where
and
are you
improve Memorial Park. Objective
Objective
6, 51 or 11.
And this,
bottom.
and I do remember them talking about this it's in the actual plan that we did before, that they're just rewording, putting everything back in here as to if there was any other discussion on this, to bring it up.
And this is set for 2025.
This
could be
memorial-
included.
Where's Memorial Park?
Memorial Park is where my parents' house used to sit right next to the bank.
Yeah,
Okay.
They consider
Oh,
that
the
Memorial
snowman
Park.
goes-
Right in front of the post office?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah,
right
okay.
between the
Yeah.
dentist office and the
Yeah.
bank, the old bank, sorry, the pharmacy down there now.
Yeah.
Jeez, oh, geez, I'm dating myself here
Yeah.
now too, holy cow.
where he
Yeah,
used to
right.
be
Yeah, I
like-
used to live.
Where the- Right, so there's a commercial,
right
is
there.
that 3-story apartment.
That they
Yeah.
were talking
Retail.
about at
Yeah.
one time and
Right.
things like that, yes.
Yeah, yeah.
First level will be in
Yep,
stores and
Yep.
restaurants.
Right,
allowing that
So
to
in
be in there for that.
2025, this could be included in the design of the commercial development. I think that's definitely something that we should seek funding
Yes.
for. So,
Yes,
'cause it just sits there.
well.
Okay, last one.
Well, I mean, do we want to seek funding if they're gonna redo it and build that building?
Well, see what the options are at least.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe we get
Yeah.
funding
The
for,
park is still there in the plans.
yep,
yeah,
thank you.
see what kind of funding and sources and this and that and whatever. And then objective 7, that was the one that I say, that little area behind his house where Roosevelt Row is,
Right.
that space. I suggest we definitely think about farmer's market or something going on there, or something that the city can use, but it's
Build it.
not like
You
a,
could Get a grant for a pavilion or something.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's not like an
It's
entertainment venue. We
Right.
have the amphitheater,
Right.
we have a skate park, but
Absolutely.
just like a seating area, maybe food, and farmer's
Barbecues and
market.
stuff like that,
and,
yeah. And then somebody
Well,
wants to use it just
Like Dean said, a pavilion,
Like bring
at one
food
end, 'cause
trucks
they
in
did
and a
that up in
farmer's
Rose City.
market, that'd be sweet.
they actually built a huge area up in Rose City. I mean, this pavilion's,
It would be sweet. So if it's
Long,
raining, we weren't
yes.
all,
everything could go underneath.
I would love that.
Yeah.
That would
And
be.
be able to be underneath.
Gaylord, same way.
Yep, they've got one there too. Yep. Yep. And that would be I know in Rose City, when they did theirs, they even put bathrooms on the end of it,
Yeah,
you
and
know,
that's a good idea, because they have to walk up the hill.
correct.
Then they would
otherwise-
be outside of somebody's kitchen window.
Well.
Be my kitchen window.
Sorry.
But we-
It'd be-
But it
That'd
could
be
be,
okay.
it could definitely be pretty and
Yeah.
inviting
That
and,
was totally
yeah.
a joke about the,
yeah.
Yeah,
It could be
Well,
landscaped
That'd just be people
beautifully.
parking where my parking spot is and stuff
Right.
like that. But other than
But that would definitely be something that you would have to be a part of
Yes.
Oh,
planning,
no.
because you would be right
Something
there.
like
We need
that, I would
all
have
your,
no problem with.
I know, but we need your input, your wife's input,
Oh, yeah.
everybody else down the line.
I want her to stay home.
Oh, no. She has an opinion, you're gonna hear it.
That's why I want her to stay home. I remember Rosemary. Come on now.
All right, so that is the end of that. I mean, obviously, it's, see what uses are feasible for it. They just want us to look into it and see what we could do there.
Yep.
If anybody has any ideas, suggestions, anything like that.
I want to go around all these areas. We
Yeah.
can just comment and write down our comments on each of these areas. I think we'd be golden.
I'll drive, I'll go whenever. We can text it and figure it
somebody have a
out.
spotlight. So we do it. No, I'm just kidding.
You get that flashlight,
Hey.
we can see 3 foot in front of us.
Yeah.
I can take you right now to the McClintock Park and we can park right in that driveway. And the other house that's there, she's in Florida. Geez, we can even
You
get
guys
warm.
drive around and have, things outside of the meeting, you can always just email us and let us know what
Right.
those things would be.
That's what we're thinking we may do is get a hold of each other and
Just
But
get
the
it
other-
done knowing we want to have the final plan and everybody's input by February 7th.
okay.
So we should make a plan to go do this. I'm available whenever. I'm a mom and I'm a farmer, so I ain't doing crap right now.
My biggest problem is the only times that I have is actually at night.
I mean,
Where we
night's
can't
fine
see you.
for
Or right
me,
now,
but
you can't hardly see anything at night,
I got a spotlight.
Go shine.
It'd be, could you do a Saturday morning or something?
I'm not around on Saturdays.
How, you going to church on Sunday?
I'm not, when Friday night hits,
You're north, I know you are.
I leave this town.
Check out. I know.
I check out and I don't check back in.
Friday night you leave?
Yes. So any night, and I don't mind.
Like what
And
time?
if we do-
5, 6?
I could get home about 5:45,
Okay.
and I could
You
meet
guys
people
wanna do that,
anywhere.
I will.
I could meet people anywhere even.
I mean, I can take an hour
you know.
anytime.
Do you need to see the places?
No, I really,
Why don't we just leave?
I was gonna say, you guys can go.
I definitely need
Yeah.
to see them.
Yeah, he knows that.
I know a lot
would
of the
like to
places
go
that they're
out
talking,
and
the only
see.
one I didn't know was the Hogsback thing,
The main.
where
one,
they considered
the
that,
lake
because
Or the river.
The
access.
river.
Yeah, me
in
too.
my
I
eyes,
saw
if
that,
they
you
can
know,
connect
10 years
trails,
ago driving by. but
I would
never
love to
looked.
see them connect trails in this town, because I've lived here all my life.
Mm-hmm.
Rode bikes all the way around this town and walked all it. You used to be walking from there to
Yeah.
there to there. Or riding a bike, things like that. They've added more trail to Beaver's Trail out there.
Yeah,
When they added the other 9 holes, they also added more walking and stuff like that. And,
Right. Yeah,
and
my
it's
wife and
really
friend
nice.
did that.
and it's really nice out there.
Mhm.
And that's why I brought up the thing about, that's the same type of situation in land out there as it is out by the river. Because that used to be a dump too.
Looking off of Reliance Road,
Yes,
that whole complex.
exactly.
The soccer complex.
Yes. That used to be a dump.
Yeah.
And you
Well,
can do
you'd
it.
have to have the soils. checked.
Exactly. You've got to go through all your checks and balances.
Yep.
All right, so I make a motion now to adjourn the meeting.
second,
Okay, meeting's adjourned.
How's that, Cassie?
I'm ending it.